Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's exactly right. And fire extinguishers and seat belts.
Yeah,
And
I feel safer with those things.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Now, D.L. Hughley, a black entertainer, also an Obama supporter.
Yeah.
He feels a little differently. He wrote an article for the Huffington Post, specifically talking about the stand your ground law. This Trayvon Martin thing is kind of coming out again because
they finally released some pictures of that Zimmerman.
Yeah,
he was all smashed up.
He was actually smashed up, and George Zimmerman's actually suing NBC, I think, and the anchor, whoever that edited the 911 tapes that made him look racist.
And some of the photographs look like they'd been doctored a little bit, too, because I think they used the photo and they made it really grainy and black and white, so it looked like he was really white, and you couldn't see the damage on his face. Yeah, but his nose is broken right in half. You can see it. Yeah. It's just terrible.
Yeah, and that was, that was a tragic case all around.
He was getting a crap beat out of him.
It appears that way.
Yeah.
It appears that way, and I guess we'll probably never really know, because if it goes his way, it won't be reported on, and if it doesn't,
there'll be riots.
Then it's very possible.
I said it.
That's very possible, and I mean, we've had the black hate groups coming out, threatening him like crazy and his family, and they had a bounty on his head.
He had to go in hiding for a while.
The new Black Panther Party had a bounty on his head.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
But D.L. Hughley talking about the stand your ground law, which basically some states, including Florida, have this, where if you're somewhere that you legally can be and you're attacked, you don't have to retreat. You don't have to turn around and run away. You can stand your ground. And in Florida and states, you can use a firearm to defend yourself.
In Michigan as well now.
Michigan also.
A lot of states are adopting that.
And that was sort of kind of quasi what was being argued in the Zimmerman case. Yeah. It wasn't exactly stand your ground because he couldn't retreat. He was,
being
supposedly on the ground being beat to death.
Pummeled. I know it's a big word for you.
It's too many M's.
I know.
Way too many M's. The case that D.L. Hughley was talking about was apparently there were some black teenagers in a car playing music too loud, and this white guy, or, non-black, whatever, walks up to the car and starts an argument, and knew, because he was carrying a gun, knew that it was going to escalate into something else. He didn't go up to talk to them about the loud music without intentions of this escalating, is what D.L. Hughley says. Yeah. And he ended up shooting one of the kids, or a couple of the kids, or whatever. And so D.L. Hughley says, let's call this stand your ground law. Let's identify this law for what it is. It's a hunting license for young black men.
That's another ignorant racist thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And let's just look at it on the surface. The law doesn't say anything about young black men.
No.
So I mean, I don't know how you can make that conclusion. I've seen the Florida statute. It doesn't say
young black men.
Here's young black men, season's open. I mean, that's just completely ridiculous. And he even says here, frankly, a hunting license would be an improvement over the stand your ground law, because hunting is heavily regulated. There are only certain times of the year when hunting's permitted. And you have to kill animals of a certain minimum size.
That's not true. There's some things you can hunt year-round.
But it's still regulated. I mean, generally in Michigan, you need some sort of hunting license.
Yeah.
But for stand your ground, you don't need a hunting license.
No.
And he says juveniles in general aren't fair game. You can't kill, generally in Michigan, you can't kill a baby, a fawn.
With spots on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess you can, but if you need a doe permit, right? Yeah, I love veal, I really do. But and he makes some ignorant statements about how you can't bait your prey, which apparently people are baiting young black men and then shooting them while they're eating off the bait pile.
And you can bait deer in Michigan.
And you can bait deer in Michigan.
Anyways,
maybe not in Florida.
It's a very, very poor analogy.
Very, very, very poor analogy. And
it fails on
it's
every
inaccurate. I mean, the stand your ground law has nothing to do with young black men.
Nope.
And it's just a different take, and they're both...
Here's an idea.
They're both...
Don't attack anybody.
Charles Barkley
Don't commit crimes.
Charles Barkley and D.L. Hughley both claim that it's a black thing, right? It's a problem in the black community. They just have polar opinions on how to solve it and where where gun laws are in the mix of how to help with this situation. And obviously, I side more with Barkley, Charles Barkley, on the gun issues, because I carry a gun and I feel safer with my gun also, and I've never had to shoot anybody.
Well, getting back to Costas again a little bit, because he says, automatic weapons are terrible. But have you ever heard of any crimes in the last, 20, 30 years where a fully automatic weapon was used in a crime?
Well, there was last week.
Really?
No, that was a butter knife.
Okay, never mind.
No.
No,
I don't.
And he made another false statement, and I got statistics.
I don't believe it.
He did.
I don't believe it.
He claims that the police agree with him about the dangers of permit holders.
Well, he said that about the Aurora shooting.
He says, in fact, almost every policeman in the country would tell you that they would only that having guns in these places would only increase the tragedy and add to the carnage.
Yeah.
And actually, in 2010, they did an annual survey, and they found 78% of the cop on the beat believe that concealed handgun permits issued in one state should be honored by all other states. 78%, that was by the National Association of Chiefs of Police.
So 22% didn't answer that way. Is that almost all?
That's almost all.
22% is
what he meant to say is almost all of the police chiefs. And the sheriffs don't like people having guns.
It's a bit of a difference there.
It's a political thing.
It's a bit of a difference.
The cop on the beat is not opposed to citizens having firearms. In fact, 78% support it.
Look, in my experience, I
oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. I take that back.
Yeah. See, now who's giving the incorrect facts here?
Me, but accidentally. The National
You're pushing me towards Costas' argument.
Found 78% of their members. So these are chiefs.
Okay.
78% of them said they should do that. And then they said surveys of the street offers was even more, was even higher than 78%. I think it was going closer to 85 to 90%. So most cops on the beats don't have a problem with law-abiding citizens carrying firearms.
In my experience, the very, 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 very rare times that I ever get pulled over in my car, once a month or so, when I inform the officer, which you have to do in Michigan, that I'm carrying and I have a concealed pistol license,
right,
they usually show a lot of respect. I mean, I've never had any issues with it.
And they usually don't give you the ticket.
I haven't gotten any tickets in a while, so that I mean,
you're a good guy. You don't have any wants or warrants.
Yeah. You have the license. You did it all legally. Now, I completely disagree with the whole concept of needing a concealed pistol license.
Right.
That's
wrong. That's a different issue.
Completely different issue. But
like in Arizona,
when the officer knows you have it, they tend to show you some respect, and they realize, oh, you're a good guy.
Yeah.
Because if you were a bad guy, you wouldn't tell me you had a gun.
Right. And in Michigan, you got to jump through a lot of hoops, have background checks, and all these things.
Pay a lot of money.
And generally the good people are the ones that get it. I mean, you can't have any kind of misdemeanors for 3 or 8 years, no felonies, of course, at all. You're denied. But to go on, it says that none of the multiple shooting victims that have been stopped by concealed carry handgun permit holders have ever resulted in accidentally shooting a bystander. The same cannot be said for the police.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I do think that police actually have a higher percentage of innocent bystanders.
Right, that's what I meant.
Being hit.
Right,
yeah,
right. Well, there was one. Where was it? New York, where the guy shot at somebody and he hit 9 people, or there were ricochets and I mean, one was
crazy.
No, I don't think any bystanders were killed, but some were wounded and some were hit with shrapnel and ricochets. But anyways, so there you go. And there was a video of the old guy in the computer store or whatever when the 2 hoods came in there with their guns drawn, and he drew his gun and he shot, 6-8 rounds.
Yeah.
And 3 or 4 of the rounds hit the bad guys, and not one innocent bystander hit because they're trained how to do this.
Yeah.
As you and I are. I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyways.
It's exactly right. And I mean, we could go on for another hour, giving examples.
We don't want to do that.
Giving examples of how guns have made a positive difference in situations.
And just to add to that, as we're wrapping up here, right? I think we're wrapping up. We're almost running out of time. Just a couple days ago, there was a football player who was drunk driving, flipped their car over, and his buddy was killed, another football player, his friend and teammate, and nobody came out after that and said, boy, we want to get rid of drunk driving and we want to get rid of cars.
I did hear some talk about taking cars away from NFL players.
Ooh, I think that, or at least highly regulate them.
Yeah, I think so.
So, the hypocrisy is amazing.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And we generally don't hear any coherent arguments coming out of the gun lobby.
Nope.
Or the anti-gun lobby.
And the problem is we've got good data to refute all of their claims.
Yep.
It just doesn't happen. So,
moral of the story, Bob Costas, you're wrong. You're an idiot.
He's an idiot.
Stick to football.
Guns are good.
Guns are good.
Be safe with them.
Yes.
Learn how to use them. But that's all I guess I have to say.
Well, until next time, thank you for listening to At Odds.
We love you. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.